Welcome friends to another r/AmITheJerk video. Hopefully it's not too much of a jerk move to ask, but could you hit those like and subscribe buttons down below? That said, our first story of the day is by Choice Platypus 2478. Am I the jerk for having my stepdad walk me down the aisle? I'm 27-year-old female. My bio dad, 62-year-old male, left my mom, 60-year-old female, when I was 10 months old. It was a whole convoluted ordeal, but things boil down to 1. My mom has postpartum depression after having my brother, 31-year-old male. 2. She recovers but gets worried when pregnant with my sister, 29-year-old female. 3. My dad cheats on my mom a few times with a coworker while she's pregnant with my sister. 4. After my sister's born, they separate for a few months but come back together, though they continue to have troubles. 5. I'm conceived to save their marriage. Spoiler, I do not. 6. Mom begins an emotional affair with my stepfather, 58-year-old male. 7. I'm born. 8. Bio dad leaves for good and files for divorce. 9. Mom moves me and my siblings in with my stepdad. 10. Divorce is finalized. My bio dad was not a big part of my childhood. He was always cold with me compared to my siblings and kept trying to prove that I wasn't his kid. We've had DNA tests done. I am. My brother and sister have always had a good relationship with him. On the flip side, I have a great relationship with my stepdad. He's been more of a father to me than my bio dad my entire life. My siblings are much colder to my stepdad because they think of him as being the person who split my parents up, which he's not. The dissolution of marriage is on my mom and my bio dad, and they're much better off apart. In the past few years, I've reconciled with my bio dad, and we do have a relationship. I'm currently planning my wedding with my fiancé, 33-year-old male. My sister's going to be my maid of honor, and my brother is one of the groomsmen. I was going over plans with my sister and mentioned that my stepdad would be walking me down the aisle. She was pissed. Started ranting how I'm ungrateful and a bad daughter to my bio dad. She left in a huff. A few hours, I got a call from my bio dad saying he won't be going to the wedding if he's not walking me down the aisle. How having my stepdad walk down the aisle would humiliate him, and how if I care about him, I'll let him walk me down the aisle. I told him that I'd rather not have him be there than not have my stepdad walk me. He hung up on me and has been cold. This has split my family. My sister's on my dad's side. My brother says he won't get involved. My mom and stepdad have told me that they think I should let my dad walk me to keep the peace. But my fiance and I agree that we'd rather have me walk down the aisle alone than have him do it. I'm getting a lot of messages from my bio dad side of my family calling me out and telling me that I'm a jerk for depriving my bio dad of this. So Reddit, am I the jerk? I think OP's not the jerk because ultimately, regardless of how anybody raised you or what they gave you, at your wedding, if you're gonna have somebody walk you down the aisle, it's completely up to you to decide who is or isn't going to. You don't have to feel beholden to anybody. Even if everybody else thinks you're completely in the wrong, you would still be in the right picking who you want to walk you down the aisle. Do you guys agree with me, or do you think it matters more who really spent a lot of their life giving all they could to you, or regardless of anything, is it simply your choice? Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Our next story is by OKOffice3698. Am I the jerk for wearing mother-in-law's wedding dress, though I boycotted her wedding for moral reasons? Mother-in-law and I have never had the best relationship, but I would say it's alright. We're just so different and can't really understand each other. Mother-in-law isn't a very nice person, but she can be extremely generous. I'm talking almost manic about it, and she seems to do it because she likes the praise. She isn't too interested in her son or grandkids on a day-to-day basis, but does come around occasionally with lavish gifts, which I've always struggled to accept. Mother-in-law got married 5 years ago, and I didn't go. It was a hard decision for me, but honestly, I was disgusted with the man she was marrying. He's an executive for a big pharma company. We're in the US, so I just don't think he's a good man. What made it so much worse for me is mother-in-law has a medical condition which is chronic, not life-threatening, but it can range from mild to debilitating. It's never affected her very much because she's always been able to afford prescriptions. I just don't see how she, of all people, can marry this dude. The man even admitted that he sees the moral issue, but he grew up poor, and he was gonna make money no matter what. It just feels so wrong to me. Honestly, their relationship sickens me. He gets so concerned when she has any symptoms and babies her, but doesn't give a crap about everyone his company screws. I know mother-in-law thinks I'm dramatic and naive, and she was annoyed I didn't go. Anyway, my husband and I didn't get a wedding the first time due to family drama, me being pregnant and some financial issues. We decided to have a vow renewal because I've always regretted not having a wedding. Budget is still tight, but we're moving forward. I love mother-in-law's wedding gown. She works in the fashion industry and has great taste. I suck at dressing myself, and it's unique and super gorgeous. It's also something I could never afford. I casually mentioned that it was perfect, and she said I could wear it. I was taken aback because we don't have a great relationship, but she said it isn't a big deal to her, and if I want to, I can. I admit I got a little caught up in the fantasy because I love this dress. When mother-in-law's husband heard, he wasn't happy. He said it was weird that I'd wear the dress when I have such disdain for their marriage. Mother-in-law offered to take back the offer, but he said no, it was her dress and she can do whatever. But I'm a hypocrite and maybe more like him, blinded by money, than I can admit. I was so embarrassed that I teared up a little, which was humiliating. I still plan to wear it, but he's made a couple jokes to my husband about it, and I heard some other families gossiping. I mean, I don't know. To me, it definitely seems like OP's pretty opinionated from the get-go. If somebody's working in a field that causes maybe more harm than good, does that automatically make that person a bad person? And I mean, think about this designer wedding dress. Where did the money come from that paid for that? Probably from that guy's pharmacy job. So going through and wearing that, knowing that they probably funded it with the money they made from their job, is kind of a hypocrite thing. What do you guys think? Is OP a jerk in this situation? I'd like to know what you guys think. Our next story is by Low Geologist 8082. Am I the jerk for being too close to my ex-husband? 6 years ago, I got divorced from my now ex-husband. There was no drama that led to this. We simply realized we're no longer happy or in love, so it would have been a clean break, if not for the fact that we had a daughter who's now 11. Neither of us wanted to lose full custody of her or miss important things in her life. She is the most important person in both our lives, and we debated on trying to make it work just for her, but realized that would only lead to all three of us becoming miserable, so we entered an arrangement that many would view as unconventional. When we sold our house, we used the money to buy 2 semi-detached houses that were joined and had a door installed between them. The construction company tried to warn us against this as it would affect resale value, but neither of us had any intention to sell, so we had them go ahead with it. We also had them take down the fence between both our back gardens so our daughter would have an extra large back garden to play in. Many of you balk at the door, but there's an agreement. It's strictly for our daughter's use, and neither of us can use it barring any emergencies, say a fire, a medical emergency, or something being wrong with our daughter. She has 2 bedrooms, 1 in each house, and every day she can pick where she wants to have breakfast, dinner, and sleep. I won't lie, it was awkward at first, but for her sake, we made it work. And even regained a lot of the friendship we had lost, though it was of course strictly platonic now. Last year, my ex-husband married his girlfriend of 3 years, a lovely woman who I'm actually friends with, and I was even a guest at their wedding, with my daughter being one of her bridesmaids. All in all, it's an arrangement everyone is content with, except for my boyfriend, who I started to date 2 years ago. He understood the arrangement entering into the relationship, and while he said it was a bit weird, he never protested and all seemed well. Things are getting more serious and we've been discussing moving in together, and he's made it clear he wants me to move, as he doesn't want to live next door to my ex-husband. I understood that, but told him it wouldn't be happening as my daughter had to come first, and our arrangement gave her a stable upbringing. He got upset with me and asked how he was supposed to be a father to my daughter when she already had a dad and he was literally a wall away. I won't lie, this took me by surprise, as I had no idea he wanted to be a father to her. I told him gently but firmly that he wasn't her father, that she already had one, and that even her father's wife didn't try to be a mother. Instead, she's called by her name. I told him if he wants some familial title, he could be an uncle, but I wouldn't give him permission to take her father's title when he's very much involved in her life. He told me if I loved him, I'd move for him. And despite me trying to tell him I do love him, he isn't listening. Am I the jerk in this? I'll definitely agree with OP that this situation is pretty unconventional. That said, I don't think OP's the jerk, and a good thing I'm seeing happening here is before the relationship goes past the point of no return, these boundaries are being explored and discussed, even if it's not going very well. In your life, if your daughter and that stable upbringing where both of you and your ex-husband being right there is unchangeable, unchallengeable, that's absolutely your right to feel that way. If your partner feels differently about the situation, that's frankly just a difference of opinion, and it doesn't make you a jerk because of your priorities with your kid. This next story is by Pablo's Smelly Armpit. Am I the jerk for making a racist joke? I, 15-year-old female, was hanging out with my 16-year-old female friend, and we were talking about different cuisines, and she brought up about Chinese cuisines, and I made a joke saying how I ate dog and snake meat. The joke was because dogs and snakes are my favorite animals. She then went on a full rampage, saying how racist I was for implying that all Chinese people ate dogs and snakes and stuff like that. But funny thing is, I'm Chinese, Cantonese myself, and I've actually tried snake before, or specifically snake soup. It's a real delicacy in Hong Kong. So I have to admit that it was kind of ironic. I got slightly annoyed at her saying how racist I was, so I decided to tell her that my grandparents actually ate dog and cat meat before, and asked if that was yet again racist. She got even more aggravated and said that it didn't matter, and what mattered was that I was implying that all Chinese people eat dogs and snakes and etc. That wasn't what the joke was supposed to be about, but I admit it might be racist. She soon, shortly after, left, and sent a really long text to me about how disrespectful I was to Chinese culture and that she doesn't tolerate racist people. The whole situation was hilarious at first, but now I feel bad because I made an unnecessary joke and she's trying to tell me how it was racist. Though I don't think I'm fully the jerk, but just in case I stepped over the line, Reddit, am I the jerk? I don't think OP's the jerk because the intention definitely wasn't how the friend is perceiving it. I can see how to some people what OP said would be a huge red flag to those people and maybe be off-putting, but it wasn't OP's intention to be like that. OP wasn't trying to deride a whole culture of people with what they were saying. And our final story of the day is by Probable Route 3456. Am I the jerk for telling my husband that I was disappointed in the gift he had for my son's 16th birthday? Background, I've been married to my husband Jack for 3 years. I have a 16-year-old son from my previous marriage, and Jack has an 18-year-old son from his previous marriage as well. My stepson and my son aren't close, and they only see each other when they visit. But everyone's happy with these arrangements, and there's rarely any issues. My stepson's 18th birthday was a couple of months ago. I wasn't at the party since his mom hosted, but Jack told me he bought him a car because he's been needing it since he has a disability and will be going to college. I saw the pictures. The car looked nice. Now, my son's 16th birthday took place this past week. My son and I were both excited for the gift Jack said he'd bring, and I hinted to my son it would most likely be a car, just like the one his stepbrother got recently. It turned out we were wrong because at the party, Jack's gift for my son was actually a gaming console. My son got so upset that he went to his room and shut the door mid-party. Everyone noticed something was wrong and left shortly. Jack looked confused this entire time and asked what the deal was. I asked if he really didn't know, and he just stared. I told him that my son was expecting something like a car as a gift. Jack asked why, and I told him because my stepson got one for his 18th birthday recently. I bluntly told him that my son was rightfully disappointed, and so was I in this gift, and really thought it was unfair, especially since my son told his friends he was getting a car from his stepdad. Jack argued about the difference in circumstances, saying his son needs the car to drive to college, while my son doesn't need it. And besides, he doesn't have a disability like his stepbrother and can walk or commute. Also, I shouldn't have assumed it'd be a car, and I messed up by hinting this to my son. I couldn't help notice the difference in treatment. I let him know that no matter how he tries to explain his reasons, my son will always feel like he's less than his stepbrother in a way. And what happened now will make it worse, even between the stepbrother, not just him and my son. Jack called me unbelievable and that I should feel ashamed, then rushed out. He's expecting me to get involved and ease things between him and my son, but I decided to give my son time to process this. Am I the jerk for what I said? So, to be clear, when OP and their husband got together, Jack's son was already 15 years old, and OP's son was already 13 years old. So I think as much as OP wants both kids to be equal to the stepfather, they're probably gonna have a little bit more bias about their actual son that was already 15 years old going into this relationship. 13's still kinda young, but it's not like he really raised OP's son, right? Second off, his kid actually did need that car, and you going around saying, "It's probably gonna be a car," was definitely a bad idea, and I think OP's the jerk. That said, that's all the time we have for today. So of all these stories I've read today, which is your favorite and why? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you haven't yet, if you could like and subscribe, that would mean a lot to me. Whatever you do, whether it's liking, subscribing, turning notifications on, all of it helps grow this channel, and I appreciate the heck out of it. So until next time, I'll see you all tomorrow with some more stories.